Boom, bang, bing. Gratitude is the attitude.
Now I can't go into a studio if it doesn't feel like home.
There you go.
This was the first place that I could, like, since a whole heap of palaver happened, this was the first place that I could come to where it felt like home away from home. I was very scared about the reception that I would get for that song, especially because members of my team kept telling me not to release it. The one person that was consistent with, I better release that song, otherwise I'm losing myself and everything that I believe in, was my mum. So my mum was actually the reason why that song came out. If anyone's watching this, don't run away from your feelings. If you need to cry, just
let it
just
out.
bawl. Because at the end of the day, you're gonna hold it in and it's just gonna fester.
We're in the Steez Factory, we've got the One Devotion, and we've got the person that I call the baby goat, because she's already a goat, but she's a baby. Cristale in the building.
What's going on?
There you know.
Gratitude.
Is that?
Attitude.
That's right. You see, when this woman first came to my studio, right? Occasionally someone walks through the door and without even really saying or doing much, there's just a positive energy and a very special energy. And that often marries with the art form that comes out of that person. And Chris is one of those people. You're half my age and more, innit? We just talked about this.
Yeah.
So we are a different generation, but I learned so much off this young woman and I'm so inspired by her. That's one of the reasons I wanted to get her in the building today. And also, the coldest barer. I like Chris?
No, not really.
Nah!
Allow it.
Not really.
Allow it. The baddest. She's a
I'm
very
not
special
there yet.
human
I've
being.
got a God-given talent, but I wouldn't say I'm the best.
Well, best is subjective, but as a fan of rap and from someone who's grown up in it, I am a massive fan of you, as you know, but also, without trying to sound like Grandad, there's an art form of rap that kind of sometimes gets lost, that when I hear you, it reminds me why I fell in love with it in the first place. Lyrical miracle.
Rawness.
Appreciate you.
So where's it come from, man? The higher beings?
Yeah, man, it's all from God. But I was speaking about this yesterday and I said that when people interview me and they ask me who my musical influences are, I always say artists and I forget to think outside the box and say like, bro, hold on a minute. My musical influence actually came from my mum.
All right.
Do you get me? Because even the music that I make...
You see, Marsha, yeah?
Gotcha.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
To me, Marsha is like Chris point two. She's always with you when I'm with her. She's a beautiful soul. And when it comes to studio, there's some people when they roll, you're like, yeah, there. That's one of them. So to me, knowing you as a person from the studio only, really, she's kind of an extension of you and she's an extension. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's beautiful to hear. Anyway, go on, Chu.
No, yeah, my mum is a massive musical influence for me because all of the music that I've listened to from being like young up until now, the music that I'm making is kind of replicating. Like you're saying that the part of hip hop that you fell in love with in the first place is kind of missing and it gets lost, but you hear it when you hear me.
Correct.
When you hear me, you're hearing music that I grew up listening to, but it was played by my mum.
Got it.
Do you get me? Like the CD player at the one of mine, that was my mum's.
Yeah, right.
The music that she was playing, it wasn't my CD. It was hers.
I heard that.
So yeah, like it comes from God. Of course, that's where the talent came from, but the influence and the stuff that I can like lean into, it comes from music that I grew up listening to through my mum.
Mumsy.
Yeah.
What kind of dubs were coming out of the
what
house
tune?
or
What
the
tune?
car?
I was even singing it today. Just one of my favourite rhythms, yeah, just in general, I always say and I always come back to it, is the bogle rhythm.
Ah,
Do you get
see what
me?
I'm saying?
Like one of my favourites. So like, you see me, I get cussed all the time by my team at the label and everyone and even all my brethren, because I don't listen to new music like that. And that's I'm not discrediting any new artists or anything because I think everyone's talented and everyone deserves to go really, really far, especially if their heart is pure and they love the music. But you see me, the old music, like I say old music, but the music that you guys grew up on is my music. Like I feel like that's where I was meant to be.
Yeah.
But obviously I'm here to kind of probably reinforce that.
Yeah.
Do you get me? That's why I was born when I was born, but with the
Absolutely.
soul that I have.
Yeah.
Do you get me?
Totally.
So like, yeah,
Bogle rhythm.
Even when I go to parties and stuff like that, yeah, it annoys me. That's why I don't really go out, because they play all the new stuff and they don't play any old Cartel. They don't play any Buju. They don't play nobody. And it's just like, how are you supposed to, like, obviously I get it, like they got dance rhythms and stuff like that, yeah. But how am I supposed to really, really, like, shuck out? Like, how is it meant to?
You know what it is for me from that era we're talking about is there's a sonic vibration to it that hits, right? So without getting too like geeky and that, the equipment they use and how they mixed, it feels different physically, right? So the Bogle rhythm, for example, has a bass on it, which is literally will move your chest in the right scenario, or it might vibe. Whereas the newer sounding stuff, it still does that, but it shakes differently. And I think that obviously dub and reggae is spiritual for that reason alone, let alone its kind of like message or where it comes from. I went to a dub dance in Southall last week and I stood in its speaker and I was shaking and it was like I was having a dub massage. Like I was like, it was spiritual. And I feel like maybe the connection with the rhythms and knowing you as such a beautiful soul that's in a way older than your age, maybe that's a connection through the sound as well. You get what I'm saying?
Probably. Thinking about it, probably. Like, the stuff that you make and the stuff that you, like, focus heavily on is the stuff that I will listen to on a normal day. Like, I'll wake up and listen to that type of music or be like, yeah, this is how I feel today. I'm not going to wake up and put on necessarily nothing new or nothing that's in rotation on the radio, including my own music. Do you get what I mean?
Course,
like, the music that I make, I try to make it for myself, but obviously we've spoken about this before. I say that when I make music, it's like healing for me. So when I release it out into the world, I won't listen to it again because that feeling is just, I let bygones be now.
Do you think that when you pen, that is the release and that's enough for you to kind of like, kind of have that journey, not conclude because life goes on, but in that moment, a release, good, enjoy yourself, on to the next.
See, the pen is almost like a release for me, but it's not fully because it's like, how do I say this now? Like, obviously you know that I used to, I say, but that I'm an artist in all forms, innit? So like I'll draw, paint, everything. So if you see like the words in my head is like an idea of a painting. And then when I write with my pen, it's like I'm drawing a picture.
Smart.
And then it's like when I finished writing, the picture's drawn or painted, but like the paint still has to dry. And then when the song's been mixed and mastered, the painting's dried now. And then when I release it, the picture's in the gallery and I can go and see it whenever I want to, but I don't need to see it every day. Do you know what I mean? It's like that.
Amazing. The process of seeing Chris write is amazing because you're very quiet and then it's like I press record and put the headphones on and it's just like really unquiet. And I don't mean that in a way that you're shouting, but it sounds so intricate and so finished straight away. But also, what did we build in here for you?
The whiteboard that was on a mirror.
So how do you write bars at home?
I write bars, and I haven't always been like this, but I just had an epiphany. It was just a part of my growth as a person and as an artist. When I stripped my whole room back down to nothing and started again from buying new wardrobe and everything. I've never had sliding wardrobe doors in my room or nothing like that. But got them this time, frosted glass on one side, mirror on the next side. Just go IKEA, you get it, boom. Then I put on, as we know, Alicia Keys' You Don't Know My Name. And it was that instrumental. I've always been in love with it, always will be in love with it. And then I wrote a song that obviously me and Toddla have together called You Don't Feel My Pain. And it's got like a similar structure, but the structure is also completely different. And I wrote that, like, the structure of my room is that my TV's over there on top of a whole bunch of trainers. My bed is in the middle and then the sliding doors wardrobe is on that side. So it's like I've climbed over my bed to sit next to the wardrobe. I've got the remote for the TV and I'm literally, because it's a mirror, I'm pointing the remote into the mirror to kind of to make it bounce back and stuff like that.
Smart.
But I literally got the whiteboard pen and I tested it on the mirror in like a small corner to see if it could wipe off. And then when it did, I was like, oh, I got a whiteboard. I got a whiteboard for anything now. So then I just wrote the whole bars on there. And from that point, that was my my writing process, and it was, I think, the incentive to like become a studio with you that brought me to that point.
Got it.
Because I don't like to come to the studio like, not empty-handed, like with no bars, but with my brain not like activated, if that makes sense. Because I have to exist in so many different ways. Like as an artist, I have to be a performer, I have to be a model, I have to be a person that's in a music video, I have to be so many different things. Before I come to the studio, I like to be in the mind frame of going to the studio. So I can't remember if it was the night before or the morning of that I wrote that song. But it was the session with you that made me be like, okay, let me go in there with my mind relaxed and with something, so that just as long as we've got an idea, we've got something to start from, type thing.
Got it.
And now you'd like to know that whenever I go to the studio now, I walk with a whiteboard. I wrote one of the best songs that I've ever written on that whiteboard, and then it got christened that day. And then that's when I knew, like, okay, cool, this whole whiteboard thing, it's not a fluke. It's not something I only do with Toddla. It's not, do you know what I mean? And since I stopped going to the studio with you, before that session that I had, you can ask anyone, keep ask my mum, how long it took me to get back into the studio. Since I stopped going to the studio with you. Like, I was just like, okay, cool, if I'm not going with Toddla, I don't want to go with anyone. Do you get me? Because it's just like, you've been here. Mum's been here. What happens in this studio when we get together, it's magical. And I'm very protective of my mind space and just my energy when I'm in the studio. And I don't really want to share that with just anybody. Do you get what I mean? So I was like, I just don't want to go. I don't want to go. Like, I don't want to go. It's too industry. I don't want to be a part of this machine. I just want to be able to be creative when I want to be. But through the grace of God, I was able to build up the confidence to start going to the studio again.
It was beautiful to see the process. I've never seen that done in tuition.
Everyone says that, you know.
It's great though, because that's your tool, isn't it? There's something in that is your tool that you've completely found on accident by just pointing the remote, and it's become part of your tool set. And in a way, potentially like I've got things that I have in life and in studio sessions. And the thing is with me is, as you know, I'm based in here, so I'm in my safe space all the time, right? When I go to a writing camp or to a next person's studio, I'm in their territory, and naturally I'm slightly more on edge, and that's human nature. So I have little things that I do or take with me that suit that. And it's simple little thing. I'm obsessed with coffee, you know.
No, we know this.
She knows it. Do you know what I do when I get to a session? I backed a strong coffee one time because it makes me feel...
Now you're at home.
There you go. So maybe the whiteboard is an extension of that type of tool, and it doesn't matter what it is or how you use it.
I didn't even think of that. My mum's over there nodding like... I didn't even think of the whiteboard being an extension of me being in my house. So I feel like I'm at home whenever I'm in the studio. I didn't even think of that. I didn't even cross my mind once.
Maybe so. And that's a great tool. And maybe coming down here for that period where we did loads of great work was part of the process to find that. The process is a lot of the time more exciting and fun. And sometimes you need to go through process to realise what you need. So even if you say like, didn't want to go to studio and that because you weren't in here, coming here, you could argue, made you realise what you need to go to studio.
Yeah, I did realise, because now I can't go into a studio if it doesn't feel like home.
There you go.
This was the first place that I could, like, since a whole heap of palaver happened, this was the first place that I could come to where it felt like home away from home.
Beautiful.
And I can only really make music at home. Do you get me?
I've literally just been sat in awe of your creative process, because I feel like a lot of people, obviously we all create in different ways, but a lot of ideas around, you know, writing bars or going to studio or making a beat, it's very linear. It's very simple. I'll just boom, I press go and that's it and it's done. And it's not like you've found this kind of, you know, internal landscape to kind of get your inspiration. I see that as a painting, but it still needs set to dry. And then the mixing, like all of that, it's beautiful to hear, because that actually gives me hope. now in terms of what's to come, because we don't really hear a lot of that depth to people's art forms.
That's what a lot of people
especially
say.
in your generations.
A lot of people say
depth.
that to me when they listen to me or when they listen to me speak. Like I've seen like loads of different comments. Oh yeah, the kids are gonna be all right.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Facts.
But I'm old, man, so I don't even know if I count.
One of one.
Old, you know. Are we allowed to talk about age?
Yeah.
How old are you on the weekend?
23.
She's old, man. Jeez, when I was 23, see the greys already. Get walking stick out the back. It's a problem.
Do you know what it is that makes me feel like that?
What?
Because it's the whole industry thing, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's what makes me feel this way, if you get what I mean. Like, especially for being a female. Not only in music, just everywhere. They tell you from young, like your clock is ticking.
Yeah.
Do you get me? Like,
Totally.
especially because like a lot of opportunities aren't necessarily the same for women, black women, black Caribbean women. Do you get what I'm trying to say? African women, like any type of woman, your life isn't like laid out for you in the way where you kind of you can live in your decision making unless it is catering to the ultimate like infrastructure of the life of a man. Do you get what I mean?
And the music industry is run by men.
Yeah.
Particularly at the top of the triangle. And that is the reality. And as much as you might place the odd inclusive character here and there, which is positive, it all goes back to the man and their agenda. What I would say, obviously I can't speak on your experiences from certain things, but as someone who is 39 and a lot older than you, is I've never been happier. And I think going through processes in my life and reaching chapters I was scared of. I was shitting it about being 30 because 30 for me was an older whatever. In my 20s, I didn't really know what was going on. That's why I'm so impressed with people like you because you've got so much going on that I'm so impressed by even at my age, let alone when I was your age. And then in my 20s, because I didn't know what was going on, I just drunk like a nutter to just distract myself and partied. And then when I got to 30, I said, this can't really work. So then I had a few years armorless and had to relearn. And only really now from like 35, 34, have I been going at life, which I think is the right way. And it's paying off now. Your talent is embedded in you so deep that you can't lose that talent. You know?
Deep.
It's not the talent I'm scared of losing. It's just not having a place to put it.
Yeah, I hear you, because that's what they're telling you, right? Consciously and subconsciously. They're saying you've got to be 21 and big on TikTok and you've got...
It's not even that. Like, it's just when you look in the industry and see where the places are for people like me, there's not really a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
And everyone always gets into your head like there can only be one.
Yeah.
I don't believe in that. Do you know what I mean? Do you
I
know
agree.
why I don't? Yeah, because I just feel like everyone's got their own God-given talents and everyone's got their pathways, innit? There's certain... I'm very conscious that there's a possibility that there's a percentage, a large percentage of the population of the earth that will never even know who I am. And I'm comfortable with that because there's someone that could be just like me. But that version of the population, that fraction, know that person. And they're not far from like kindred spirits with me. So that makes me feel comfortable. Because if you don't listen to me, at least you listen to X, Y, Z. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like, I don't need to be number one. Do you get me? But it's just about at least my art having a place in the world.
Yeah.
Do you get it?
And also having a strength that it deserves, which is out of your control at times because it is run by a system. I think it's a really good point and something that always winds me up is this: there can only be one crap, particularly of female MCs. Why? There's I think that female MCs in Britain, and I don't really listen to US rap, are better than the men. And I've thought this for a while, and I can't help but think it's because you kind of have to be.
Yeah.
Because you're on the back foot from the minute you've worked into the industry, right? Because it is run by a boys' club, right? But you, I'm not going to ring off names because it's not that time, but you and various others, when I press play, are so bloody brilliant. Yeah, that the bar is so high that maybe that's one of the reasons I say with my chest, you are one of, if not the best rappers in the country, because you have to work a bit harder.
Yeah, we do have to work harder, we do. But it's just like, even when you're coming out of the bracket of gender, it's age as well. Like, the young girls are going mad with it right now because they have to try and be as good as. Otherwise, if you don't strive for that, you will never even get close to that. Do you get me? Especially because of this system. Like, you can have all the faith in God that you want. Yeah, God will take you where you need to go. But when you start feeding into the numbers, then that's where you have to just follow their rules. Do you get what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
And that's where it just gets like proper stressful. Like when you start to think of like, oh, I'm supposed to be dropping a tune, but I got to tease it. But what if they don't switch on to the tease that I do and all of these different things? Like, for example, all of my stuff that's gone off, we've got Bong Bing, that's like a dance track, yeah? And then we've got the rest of the stuff being drill. You know me, and a lot of other people that aren't proper consumers, that are like on the back end of it, know what I actually can do.
Yeah.
And know the type of artist that I am. But in order for me to like cross that line of putting it out into the world, I got to make sure that everyone's ready to receive it. But they might not ever be. Do you know what I mean?
I hear you. Right, so this is one of the things that properly impressed me about you, because I knew you from these records. I knew you from drill tunes and party dancehall records. And when I met her, I was like, raw, you're really not that at the core. She makes the rhythms, she picks sound choice. She's very, very like precise with what is right and wrong. There's not much like beige area. And she's a very deep artist, which again was just like oxygen in a market that's flooded with what is kind of the opposite a lot of the time. And you always like, I'm going to drop it when they're ready for it and I'm in a place where I have enough people behind me to understand this art, which I just thought was amazing, because I'm just like, just drop it, be fine, put it out. But the thing is that gives me faith about someone like yourself, and it's easy for me to sit here as a 39-year-old white male, is that because there's something in you that's so special that people don't know about yet, you've got a long journey to go.
Is that what you tap into? Because obviously the way you speak is very, it's deep. It isn't a tangible thing where parents say, yeah, that's confidence. It's not confidence. It's that innate belief. What do you tap into when you are fighting against the tide, where it's like, oh, numbers, noise, is it going to land at the right time? If the teaser don't slap, well, go on. Like, what do you tap into?
My faith.
Okay.
That's literally it. I can only have faith in God, and that's it. Like, and I've always been like a person that follows Christianity. Like, I grew up in a Christian household and everything like that. But you see, when you start going into the world of things, like the world of things, like, for example, my addiction to trainers, yeah? Like, when I was younger, my mum could get me whatever I need. But you see, when you start getting your own money, and it surpasses what I need now, I'm getting things that I want. And then I'm stepping into the music industry now, and I'm starting to get more money for the things that I want. And then I'm getting caught up in this once. I want to be the best artist. I wanted this, I wanted that. I want new trainers, I want Stone Island, I want... But if I'm focused on what I want and not what I need in terms of healing and what the music can provide for me, in terms of what I'm able to provide for the people that listen to me. Like, I could be like, yeah, I want the #1 song in the country. But I could be on that tune talking bare slackness and talking like bare stuff that is not going to be spiritually fulfilling for anybody. And all the label would have made all that money and I would have been so popular, but at what cost? Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So then I'm just like, I kind of had to flip the script and be like, and this doesn't mean that I'm not going to do drill or anything like that, because I've always kind of been like this.
Yeah.
But through the release of the last couple of tracks that I've done, so like Rodents, through Top Boy, Antisocial, Sing That, the last songs that I did, I was shocked, yeah? Because obviously I talk about God a lot in everything, and prayer is very important when you are in this industry, because it's a very evil world, isn't it? For the first time with Sing That, I was very scared about the reception that I would get for that song, especially because members of my team kept telling me not to release it. The one person that was consistent with, I better release that song, otherwise I'm losing myself and everything that I believe in, was my mum. So my mum was actually the reason why that song came out, because I was literally upside down. I said, I'm not going to drop it. My mum said, if I don't drop that song, and listen to what I'm talking about, like, do you get what I'm trying to say? So my own mum's telling me I need to drop that because I'm not talking about what people think I'm talking about. Do you get what I mean? So I was in the studio by myself and I said, let me make a little TikTok to the tune, as I do. Before I posted it, I was sat there and I prayed. And I said, dear God, please don't allow this song to fall upon deaf ears and allow it to go to the people that it needs to go to. Posting my first teaser, I got like 30K, it was all right. I was like, yeah, all right, cool. That's cool, innit? I'm not expecting anything more than that. Then I posted a video of me and my brethren at the video shoot. And there was like quite a few of us in the background. I was wearing a blue Averex jacket and we're singing the tune, makeup done, hair done, everything done. I posted it on TikTok. Like in one day, it got 2 million views. I was
Virus.
I was like, hold on a minute. Then, I can't remember, I think it was my mum that said post it on Instagram. Posted it on Instagram. It's still, to this day, the video on my Instagram with the most views, like 13 million. My following, everything went up. I was like, I've never had this before. Like, obviously the plugged in and everything, bong bing, we've had my followers grow. But I've never had something like that before. So I said, okay, cool. I got to practice what I preach. If I want the music to go to the right people, I have to pray for it. That's all I need to, because at the end of the day, I've come to the conclusion I've grown a little bit and I grow a little bit more every day. Understand that if I keep saying that God gave me this gift, then obviously he's giving me this gift to do his work.
It's bigger than you, innit?
It's bigger than me. I'm only a vessel.
Bigger than
I'm only a vessel for the message, innit?
100%.
So don't shoot the messenger.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's incredible, man. Mum's in. Marsha.
Shout out,
Marsha. Marsha, come on, Marsha.
Yeah, man, salute,
Marsha.
Salute.
She's never on the camera, but she's Cristale 2.0. It's so true, man. Like, I understand though, man. Like, what else do you have in your artillery when your life is hard? How do you stay positive in this city and industry?
It's hard to, when you're built up. But like, don't run away from your emotions. That's the only thing I would say, innit? Like, if anyone's watching this, don't run away from your feelings. If you need to cry, just
let it out.
Just bawl. Because at the end of the day, you're going to hold it in and it's just going to fester. It will never come out. Even if you're by yourself, like, you're never really by yourself because God is sitting with you, innit? But like, if you need to lay it out, just do that. Because me, personally, I don't really have outlets like that. Everything I do, because I'm a person of interest or a person of influence, everything I do is for work. Even when I play games, I'm about to start streaming. Because there's different avenues for me. You get me?
It's rare because I'm so conditioned not to as a man, but when I cry, it feels amazing.
Come on.
The endorphins, But I find it really hard to do. Like, Jamie, even unless something mad traumatic happens, like, I find it really hard. And that's just the conditioning of,
society.
Yeah, of a bloke, particularly them time they have a good weep. Beautiful.
I'm keen to know on the topic of like fortitude and strength and, like, obviously we are living in a very fast, economy, especially in the industry. There's an abundance of negativity flying around. Obviously with going viral, there will be a lot of negativity as well, comments, X, Y, and Z. How do you navigate that space now?
To my honesty.
Because the world feeds, it seems like people feed off that negative energy.
Do you want me to be honest?
Yeah, man.
As long as I can see it, I delete it. Do you get me? Because
stage it out.
If it goes mad viral to the point where I can't keep track of it anymore, I just leave it until I come across it, and it's just like, you're chatting rubbish. Bye. Later. Because at the end of the day, this is what I always say to people, and I say it to artists all the time. There's no shame in deleting a negative comment if it's troubling your peace, innit? Like, and people try to go on this whole righteous path of, why do you care what people think? Because I'm a human being. I care what people have to say, especially if it's about my art. But when you delete someone's comment,
rubbed.
When someone comments something hateful, they don't come back to check.
Yeah.
They don't come back to check.
Yeah.
They literally just drop the comment and leave because that was their little outlet.
Yeah.
Because they got something going on with themselves, so they're projecting at you. If you delete it, they got what they got out. You got to get off your page. Everyone's happy.
Yeah.
you get it.
Just clear up the negative energy in your digital space.
The only thing that's difficult is when it's not digital and when it's in real life.
Absolutely.
And when you got people that are around you that are being fairly negative, you just have to know where and when to keep people at arm's length and to take what people say with a pinch of salt. Because a lot of people, they don't understand that when you communicate with people, you have to tailor your approaches to every person that you speak to. And because it's difficult at times, some people might feel like they shouldn't have to do that. Like, for example, you might talk to me away and then talk to your kids differently because you understand that I'm an adult. But something that you might say the exact same thing like, oh, Chris, man, pick up your pen, man. Because you know that me and you are, like, you can talk to me like that. With your son, you might say, oh, like, come on, like, pick up your pen, like, you got to try harder. Because why? Because he's younger. He's a bit more sensitive to life and sensitive to dad telling them what to do. So you got to be a bit more, do you know what I mean? So
See, Chris, this is why I love Rich Judah. She gives me fathering tips. She ain't even got you.
Right now, you know.
Young goat. Back to, like, letting people in your space. Digitally, it's great. Later, you know what I mean? And thus for getting rid of that. But in real life, it can be trickier, especially in music, because there's a lot of people that end up around you that you simply don't want to be around, if I'm honest. And I have created a beautiful bubble, and part of this space is that of, like, having my incredible team be a buffer between what I call us and them. So it's like the art creators and then the people on the other side who take that art and run with it. And that's the way I've managed to do it. I'm like, I don't deal with them people anymore because I don't need to, and I know it mashes me up. And actually, even though if I did hang around with said person and go to that gig and hang out in that members club, maybe I might be this much further up. But I truly believe, and I've seen it in tuition, that if your art is great, it goes all the way to the top.
and it skips all of them people.
All of that.
This is why I always say, like, me, I don't really do the whole attending things and unless I really want to go there, or unless I feel like when I go there, I'm going to meet like-minded people that actually have something to offer me. Like, I'm not going to go to any event, but if there's like a sneakers event, or if there's a Nike event or a Stone Island event, I'm going to go. Why? Because as a person, aside from the music, I'm a consumer within those brands.
Yeah.
So I'm actually interested in the history, I'm interested in the art forms, I'm interested in everything. If I'm not interested in what you're doing, me going is going to benefit you more than me, because you can say that, oh, you had those 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm trying to say? You had those 5 minutes, you picked my brain for those 5 minutes, and you said this and yeah. And what I've had a lot of is people doing that and using that as leverage to go and make deals with other people.
Oh, absolutely.
Do you get what I mean? And I'm just
wild.
like, and I'm sitting here thinking like, really and truly, I don't even feel like anybody too tough yet, you know.
No, fact.
So the fact that you're already using conversations with me as leverage is crazy to me.
You know what it is? The penny dropped for me last year, right? When it all came to tuition, and I realised that we're all fucking assets for the boys' club, right? And your bars, my production skills, his wisdom, and you get into a corporate space, and it's like the fucking stock exchange. Chris said this, so I can speak to him. These times you're just boring. So what I've done as my mini clog in the system, because I'm mini in this, I can't do it, you know. Because like you say, a conversation they're using as leverage. It's a lot, you know.
It's more than a lot.
And I feel like for someone like yourself who's pure art and pure greatness and is on the front line of it at 23, I admire your generation so much, and I learned so much from your generation, because we're never like that when I was your age, and I was never as successful as someone like yourself as an artist. And to be there at the forefront of it in this times, I just think is amazing. And I think, without getting too like soapbox, the elders sometimes think the youngers are a bit annoying and stupid, but actually I think you're schooling us more than ever.
Most definitely.
I'm not gonna lie though, there's a few of them that are a bit stupid though. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you. There's a few of them that's actually stupid, though. But what it is that because the ones that are stupid actually get the voices and the platforms sometimes, we get like generalized.
Yeah.
Do you get me? Like you're gonna hear someone say something outrageous on the internet, and because they're around the same age as me or they do the same thing as me, you're gonna put us in the same bracket, and then you're gonna meet me and think,
well, it's not that.
it's not even that. Like, where's the rest of you, Chris? And I'm just like, we're here, but we just ain't like people. Controversy sells, innit? And I'm not controversial. So.
Well, we've spoke about this negative bias, the negative side of the mind, which we all go to from the back in the cave, is something that we do naturally. Hence, probably why, you know, scary films, diss tracks in grime and drill are successful. You know, the blogs that show trauma are popular because the brain just goes there. So it's actually work within yourself to not consume that. And it's an easier road, you could argue, to sell that. For example, to talk on a beat about cruddy stuff, if that's your existence, more power, do you, bro? You understand? But if you're just leaning into that side to catch attention, it's an easier path, right? To do something slightly different and more positive, like when you said earlier, you said, I don't want to drop the tune, it's too different. That's a bigger gamble because the brain scientifically goes to a negative space. You know what I'm saying? So what I've been trying to do recently is flip the narrative and be like, how amazing is it that I can go to the shop? How amazing is it that I've got a chord that I can tap and just get me Lucas Hayden? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What do you do and practice for positive vibrations and gratitude? Because you're someone who is unbelievably talented and very successful, but you work in music, you're South London, it's not easy.
I make sure I go to church every Sunday, or I try to go to church every Sunday, unless I'm just like completely like finished from that week. But even so, sometimes when I'm completely finished, I try to push past that just so I can go and give thanks and go up to the altar. That's one thing. I try to clean. Cleanliness is next to godliness. And when you're in a space where you can navigate where your next steps are, like for example, in here, is very spacious. Like there's not much clutter. So you can literally walk past a chair and be in the middle, then walk away from the chair and still be in space. Do you get me? So I try to make sure that the place that I rest my head, like in my bed, like it's just my bedroom is clean. But ultimately, the one thing that always helps me reset is listening to music, but obviously not new music, or some of the stuff might shuffle in there. But when I say music, I'm starting again. I need to start again. The first project that ever made me fall in love with projects, Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, going back. Do you know what I mean? I'm going back. I'm not trying to do all of that mix-up stuff. I'm going to listen to some Cleo Soul. I'm going to, do you know what I mean? And just reset myself, because it just allows me to have a lot of space and rebuild a relationship with myself aside from all the toxicity, because my interpretation of the song is purifying to me. So then that's how I'm just like, yeah, all right, cool. It's all done. I'm reset. How do I take the necessary steps to not put myself in this scenario again? And because of the industry I'm in, I'm going to get here again, but at least I know how to get away from it. Do you know what I mean?
There's no school for the industry you're in, and you have to sadly learn by mistakes. There's
a new, different way to commit crosses every week. Do you know what I mean?
Trust me.
The young goat, Chris, I could chat all day.
Me too.
She's incredible.
Different things.
People need to realise how bad of a producer she is as well. I tried to buy a beat off the other day. Too expensive. It's like that now. But
Price
trust me,
up.
there's so much going on more than what you see. That's why, even though I understand why you're anxious about growing a bit older, but your thing is just warms in. I'm telling you. Remember this, when you're 39, you watched it back. You were right. Innit, Marsha? See it there? Gratitude is the attitude. Toddla T, Cristale, The One Devotion.
Peter.
You know what to do. Go and listen to the other episodes. Go listen to the rhythm. Go listen to Chris's bars. Go and see the streams. Go to Rhodey and see the slam bars in Chef. Mad.